Hello everyone, we're back, and this time we're back with some nice holiday decorations. This is holiday season, so of course you'll be wanting to deck your halls, and that would be with BDSM related decorations, of course. So we've got several lined up here, and I hope you enjoy our crafty corner project this month. This is skill level 1, so no big deal if you haven't actually seen too many of the other courses yet. You'll still be fine, I think, doing this. The only things that you're going to need, really, there's not too much you're going to need for this, but if you have your basics, things like your Olfa knife, definitely you'll want a retractable with this one. Make sure that there's a nice sharp blade in it, in both of them. You'll probably want your useful tool, probably one with a more pointy end to it to be tracing things out with. Make sure that you have your, where is it? There it is. Make sure that you have your hole punch set. By this time you should have some kind of hole punch set, the type that has the interchangeable sizings, right? You'll definitely need that. And then of course some kind of, you don't need your large rulers for this, your smaller ones will do just fine. Like so. In fact, I'm not even sure you really need to measure this out if you already have your grid mat here, just like you should have anyway. But if you don't have your grid mat, then you know, you're going to have to use your rulers. I think that's kind of it really for this. It's meant to be simple, easy, fun, and something that anybody should be able to do. So, what do you need to do this? You're going to need some contact cement, of course. Our go-to is Barge, but you don't need like that level of gluing for this. So some kind of contact cement. You can go for your cheaper ones if you have them. I don't know. I used to segregate out our lesser expensive glues and our more expensive glues, and I'll use the more expensive glues where we really need them, and use the less expensive glues just where I need something that'll kind of make things stick together. But it's not critical if, like, it's not holding a serious engineering function as part of the piece. So use your cheaper glues for this. You might want some kind of black ribbon, or heck, you can use, of course, black leather lace or something to hang up your ornaments with. You'll also need some kind of wire frame for your wreath. You're going to be making a wreath, so if you can go out and buy something like this one, that will be lovely for you. This was all of $1.25, so I know they're out there and they're not that expensive, but if you can't, or you want to recycle something that you already have, go for it. You can just make this out of a wire coat hanger if you still have such a thing in your closet. It's all plastic these days, isn't it? But you may have one kicking around, so you can do that. This one that we're working with today is 8 inches wide, so this is a small wreath. So the measurements that I'm going to give you, all of the measurements I'm going to give you are going to be approximates, because it's going to depend on exactly what you manage to actually get in terms of sizing. So, I mean, you might get a regular size wreath ring, so you'll, of course, want to size everything up. Most importantly, of course, is the leather. You are going to be using almost all scraps for this. That's the idea. So you're going to actually have a whole bunch of scraps. I pulled out a bunch of scraps for this out of the old bin, and we're going to create something with these things. because, yeah, we should be able to use these things for something, right? And nothing is critical. Not even the looks, frankly, are critical. So I've got all sorts of stuff that, you know, may look kind of ugly individually, but when you actually take it all into its final glorious piece, it'll look great, I hope. So get your scraps out and let us begin. Okay, let's start with that wreath. Get your wire wreath out. Now you've got your little packet of hardware, I hope, of the things that you'll need. Where is this one? That's this one, I think. I've got mine all segregated here so that I don't get all mixed up. So you will need your O-ring, like so. You'll need the what is this? 3/4 inch. 3/4 inch O-ring. 4 little 3/8 inch buckles, right? And then 1 little 1/2 inch 127R buckle. So that's the array of hardware that we're going to use for the wreath. So I'll put those over there for the moment. And then this is where we're really going to need the most creative use of our scraps, basically. So I've got various things here. This is, if you've been paying attention to your essentials courses, as I hope you have, then you may recognize this from the lacing that you have to cut for your knotwork, right? This is all, if you in fact got something like a goat or something, where you have to cut in the round and are cutting the knotwork spirals. That's what this is. That's all that outside part of the hide, out of the skin, that I cut, and I would toss that in our scrap bin. And now I can use it for something. And this one in particular, as you can see, is kind of a dark green. This is a really nice Petard's goat skin that I got because I just can't resist Petard's goat. So, but it's of course for us normally the wrong color. Nobody really wants green, but I still couldn't resist it. So, so that's what I'm going to be using for the wreath. I have another version of it with the red, a nice red goat that I cut in the round as well, so I think I can use that. I also have some scraps of short pieces. These would be when you're braiding handles, of course, and you're cutting strips, long strips for your handles, then you tend to have pieces left over that are too long for your handle, or that was the last end piece of your strip as you were cutting your handle pieces for braiding. And so then what the heck do you do with these things? Well, God, we had so many of these things. But I have these ones now, and they're all in different widths. As you can see, that's like, oh, I can see that was a scrap from, what was that a scrap from? That was a scrap from a scourge, actually. This wasn't quite, or this was an extra from a scourge handle that I was making. Anyway, so so I've got this extra chunk, like what the heck am I going to do with that? Look, it's even soaped. I've even got it soaped here. This is another piece that for some reason I didn't use, probably because it's got that flaw in there. This is a shorty piece that got cut off from a longer piece. So I've got all these things. and I think that I can use these for the wreath as well. I came across some silver lame. You can't go wrong with silver lame, can you? So I think I will use that. I think I'll just put that in there somewhere for a bit of bling. And of course, I had some red lame because, you know, I go into leather shops. I don't know about you, but I go into leather shops and it's like, oh, look at this. Oh, look at that. Whoa, what can I use this for? And, you know, you have no clue. But you think, well, the price is good and it's so leathery. So you grab it. So I have many hides that I've ended up grabbing like that. When we closed our shop, I got rid of a lot of them because I was trying to be ruthless, but I kind of wish I had some of them now. But I did keep some things, and I had some in the scrap bin still left over. So this is some of them, and I think I can use them for this now. What else? Oh, and of course, if you want to be a little more restrained in your color combinations, I have an oxblood kind of lace that I had cut for something or other, probably handles. And that's garbage. And what else do we have? Just bits and pieces of stuff. I have a bunch of these left over from our business. Somebody was over extra eager on the old click press, and they clicked out a bunch of these shapes. These are actually from hog ties. A bunch of extra hog tie straps. Hooray! And some of these, I know these were from collars. So I think, what the heck am I going to do with these? Well, I can probably figure something out. And you can probably sort out some kind of decoration thing. So this is the kind of thing I've got in my scrap bin. Even that, I think I could use that. That's a garmenty thing. So for the wreath, I think we want more garmenty stuff. So I think I can even use that for that matter. But anyway, so for the wreath, I want more garmenty stuff. And I think that I will use, and what I want you to use among your things are any of these long strips that you've cut, if you've cut any. And if not, then I suggest that you cut some. Now, if you're going to cut some, you know that there's going to be areas of the hide where you are never going to use it for anything except for, you know, stuff like this. So I would suggest that if you say, well, I don't actually have hardly any scraps, and I certainly don't have any that are really long, thin pieces like this. That's okay. Take your hide, go to the bottom of your hide, like I'm talking something like a garment cow that you may have. Go to the bottom. You know, the bottom is going to be the belly. Take that belly area and cut some strips off of it, because that will be, you will not use that area for anything else, pretty much. Well, maybe some pouches or bags or something that you could do, but like go right to the very bottom. You can take that for sure. So take that bottom and you can use it. We want, I know for my 8-inch ring here, we want a strip that's going to be about 48 inches long. That I know will cover what we're going to do with this wreath. Because what we're going to do, I don't know if I should begin doing things. I guess I could. Okay, so if you don't have a 48-inch long strip, don't worry. Take all your pieces, and I don't even care if they're the same width. It doesn't matter. Let's be all arty and risque here and just put them together. So this is like a 3/4 inch strip. This is a 1 1/8 inch strip. I am going to rivet them together with these teeny tiny rivets that I've got. You could, and I'm going to use the shiny rivets just for a little bit of added sparkle here and there within the wreath. Okay, so I'm going to rivet those together there, and then if that's still not long enough, I'll probably take this one, this shorter piece, and I'm going to rivet that together. So take all of your short pieces, like, and if I really wanted to be risque, I would take a short piece of color. You can do a nice colorful one, do a rainbow one, and rivet that on, okay, until you have your 48-inch piece, or you may in fact need it longer for yours if you have a larger wreath ring, right? This one's quite small, like I said, so you may have a regular size, one like that. So you're going to need yours probably double what this would be. So that's our starting point. So look through your strips and rivet them together. And if you don't have any, like I said, cut them. Yeah, we want them, I think, fairly consistently this type of strip rather than weirdo things like this. I think that would be, it's not going to cover it properly. So let's do that. And then the other types of leather that you're going to need are going to be ones that are, let me just check my notes here. Okay, so the other type are going to be, there's your strips. Oh, and by the way, just so you, when you think about what you're actually going to be doing with them, we're just going to be going around like this. Okay, so that's the idea. If you can see that on the camera. That's the idea. So that's why I want these to be wider strips rather than these really narrow type strips. Like that's going to be too narrow, obviously. It's not going to cover properly. We want some wide coverage going on. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Okay. And then the other type of leather that I want you to be looking through your scraps for, where's my notes here? You're probably going to need, I'm not sure, probably something like a dozen, 20 of them, maybe a dozen, 2 dozen of pieces that are going to be, oh, I can't see that. Oh, there we go. That are going to be 4 inches. 4 inches long by whatever you want wide. So it kind of depends on what scraps you've got. So I may have this one, I may have one that's that wide. This is like kind of, well, it's all over the place, but kind of 3/4. That one's kind of 5/8. And this is all garment. This is various weights of garment. Nothing too heavy. This is about as heavy as I think I'm going to want to get, because this one is actually pretty firm. As you can see, it doesn't have a whole lot of stretch going on. But even this width I think is fine, because what we want to do is, here we go, I can show you right here, is put these around. And turn them into kind of the leafy part of the wreath. Kind of like that. Okay, so again, I'm not going to be too wild and crazy with my colors with this, but you may want to do a rainbow one, or you may want to do nice blue and silver, or whatever the heck you want, or just black. That's fine. But I think that for this size of wreath ring, probably somewhere around a dozen or a little less than a dozen should do you enough for what we're going to do here. So go through your scraps, and you can see, like, I'm not going to be too bothered about having these perfectly shaped and stuff. That's not what we're here for. This is being able to use these scraps to good effect. And I think that having something that's too regular will actually detract from the aesthetic appeal of the wreath. So don't be too regimented in your lines, okay? And what else? So those are the garlandy leaves. And then you're going to want 2 5-inch by 1/2-inch pieces. So that would be something that's going to be just, it really doesn't matter, but I think that it might be a little more helpful if it were something that was a little firmer than something that's really like this, like the really light garment stuff. Okay, this is thin. It's quite well, that's not quite stretchy, but it's a bit stretchy because we're going to be using this for our, oh, there's my hardware right in front of me. We're going to be using this to go around our rings. And what's this one for? A 1/2-inch. Okay, so we're going to be using this to go around our buckle here, right? So you could use light belting, but I think it would be pretty tough to make that light belting go around like it needs to go around. It would have to be pretty flexible. So you're better off going with like a firm garment for this. But you should have loads of that in scraps here. And if you haven't really started cutting into your leather much, then now's the chance to get rid of all the crappy parts of your hides and use them for this, okay? So you want 2 pieces of 5-inch long by 1/2-inch wide, firmer-ish garment. And that's going to be, one's going to be for your buckle, and the other one is going to be for your lazy-o ring, okay? Or whatever ring you've got, which should be this. Something like that. And you, well, this one in particular I know is 5/8, so actually I would size mine up to fit this one better, right? Like so. But that's your starting point. So it kind of depends on what you ended up getting. But if anybody got what I sent them, then this is what you're going to be using. All right, so that's these ones taken care of. And then you'll want 4 that are 4-inch by 3/8 of an inch. Our little buckles here are 3/8-inch buckles, teeny tiny ones. So we'll be cutting, this is actually 1/2-inch, so they don't quite fit nicely, but they could. Your 1/2-inch could fit in these 3/8 ones because we're just using garment, so it can kind of curl up or compress a bit. So you want 4 4-inch by 3/8-inch strips. Again, this would be the heavier garmenty kind of feel to them. And then same again, 4 5-inch by 3/8 strips for the other side, so you can actually put your strap through your tail, through your buckle. Okay? And again, you're going to have to adjust these sizes if you don't have an 8-inch ring, or don't have an 8-inch ring with this smaller diameter inner circle of it, you know. It's easy enough to figure out. If you don't have this stuff, you just physically do it. So you put it around, you think, okay, well, I'm going to put a rivet there, and then that's got to be long enough to go around around my buckle, and then it's going to fold over, blah, 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 and then, okay, it's going to be like that. So size it to the hardware you've got and the ring you've got. What else? Right, and then that's it. And if you want to incorporate any bits of flash that you want to have woven around it in a non-standard fashion, then include your little bits of flash. Right, okay. So let's go do that, and then we will reconvene and actually put it all together. Okay? Okay, so we're back with all of our bits and pieces that we need for the wreath. So I've got my ribbon here. I've put a little bit of a couple of very, very small, I'll show you, I've got this little packet of very, very small rivets. Let's just see if I can get one out here. Teeny tiny, teeny tiny. Ugh. There we go. How tiny is that? So I've got these little jobbies, so I've used them to go through this very thin leather that I've got here, this handle leather that we have, which is a light garment cowl. And I'll put that back later. Okay, and I've also used those for all my little garlandy leafy bits and pieces for just, well, not all of them, some of them. Some of them are just plain, but some of them I wanted a little bit of shine to them, just to highlight the buckles and stuff, that hardware that we've got. So I've put those little tiny rivets in there as well for a little bit of extra shine in places, a bit of glisten. And what else? And we've got the rest of it cut. So so maybe what we'll do is we'll go a piece at a time here. So now get your wire ring. Mine is concave or convex, depends on your perspective on this. So I'm actually going to use the convex area, and I'm going to start, mine has these little cross pieces going on here. So I'm actually going to use these cross pieces, top and bottom here, for the area where I'm going to be putting the buckle and the Lazio ring. So because I know I'm going to be doing that, I'm actually going to start just to the one side of that. Right, let me just check here. Where's my thing? Yeah. I'm gonna go just to one side of that, because when we go around, we're going to be skipping around that area, because I want to have that area clear for either my buckle or my O-ring. So we're going to start. Oh, I hope you can see this properly. Let's try that. Okay, so we're going to start going around, and we're not going to pull this really, really tight, but I will pull it a little bit taut to go around. pull those in a little closer. I think I've got the length to do that. So we could fasten this together in a couple of different ways. We could just take these two ends and rivet them together, and that would be that. Actually, like that. Actually, these are matching up so nicely that I might in fact do that for this. Comme ça. I was going to do it a different way, but I kind of like how that's quite neat. Neatly come together. So maybe we'll do that. Yeah, maybe we'll do that. So I'm just going to rivet these together and then we'll continue on. Okay, so we just did a little rivet and you can see there's a little bit sticking out, but I think that won't make any difference. If it does, then I will chop it off. All right, so the next part is you cut, let me see, a 5-inch by 1/2-inch piece, 2 of them hopefully. One for your buckle and one for your ring. So the buckle one, and you can see I didn't do like a terribly perfect job of it because it doesn't really matter for this. I'm going a bit sauvage with it. So with the buckle one, take your retractable and just put a slit in it, actually for both of them. So take your retractable and put a slit about, I don't know, 1 inch down or so. Right in the middle, there. And then do another one a little further down. Like that. So I think that should work. This one's, oh, this is much firmer leather. That's going to be harder to do. Okay, so we'll start with the buckle. So you put 2 slits in there and make sure that that you've at least got 1 inch, have them 1 inch apart, because otherwise they will be too close. So we're going to put the buckle through and pull it so that it's right in between those 2 slits, like that, right? And then we're going to go to our top area here. For me, it's the top. There. And I'm going to go through the little crossbar so that this buckle is facing, I want it to be facing like that. So I'm going to go through that crossbar. Comme ça. And then we're going to put this end, right? We're going to put that end through the slot. And that may or may not be more or less difficult for you, depending on how big you cut your slot. Okay, so that should actually be quite firm on there. And then that's going to go through the second slot that you just pulled through there. So there's my second slot there. This end is now going to go through that slot. And of course, this is a small piece, small strap, so it's actually going to be a little tight to get it in there. That's where the useful tool comes in. Always useful, the useful tool. And I'm just folding it up a bit to make it easier to go through. Okay, like that. And that's it. That's now secure. Like that. Now, you could take it a step further, and you might actually want to put a tail going through that buckle. If you do, I'm not going to. But if you do, of course, go and cut yourself a tail. And in fact, you'd want to put your buckle on facing the other way rather than the way that I put it on, so that you can then go over here and go through it there, and then hitch it on the same way with the two slots, right? You can't see how pretty that slot is there because the buckle is covering it in this case, but okay, so that's one. And then we're going to put our lazy O-ring on the other. And I've already cut these slots. And I'll put them through there. And directly opposite to my buckle is over here. So I'll be putting that through here. And of course, if you use stiffer leather or thicker leather, it's going to be that much more difficult. Okay, so I've got the slot here and the slot here. So I'm going to put the rings here. I'm going to put this one through that further slot, right? Which will pull it. I'm going to fold that up to go through. There we go. See, that tightens up there, right? I want to pull that tight. And then that pulls the other slot through, which I then turn around and tuck my tail into, if I can. This is where you may or may not have put your slots a little too close together. If you do, you maybe will just extend the slot so it's a little bigger. Or you just recut yourself another strap. I may need this heavy duty stuff. It's too hard to bend around a small area. easily. And you want to kind of fold it in half to go through there. Right? So this is going through the second slot, the one that was originally close to the ring. Like that. And then you pull it over. Make some adjustments. And you wiggle it into a pleasing shape. Okay, there you go. So we now have our buckle and our ring. Look familiar? Okay. And if you don't like this too long, cut it short. Or if you want it longer, have a longer strap. Take it off, recut a piece, because this is all scrap anyway, so it doesn't matter, right? And recut that to a shape that suits you. Okay, so now we are ready for our little X in the middle. And those would be the 4 and 4 that you cut. So 4 inch and 4 5-inch. Again, this is approximate. You may have to tweak it to suit your own wreath. You probably will have to tweak it to suit your own wreath. I actually tweaked this a bit. This was going to be 4, and then I went and sized it around and realized, oh, 4 is just a little too big for this. So mine ended up being more like 3 or 2 3/4. In fact, I wanted to make that. You have to make that with these really small wreaths. You have to make that initial strap between the ring and the buckle to be really, really close. So that's what I had to do, is I actually cut that down. So I ended up with 4 2 3/4 inch straps and 4, what did I cut these at to after all? Yeah, just shy of 5 inches. Okay, and then you'll notice that you have to do different things to them. And this is that firm leather again, which I may or may not be able to work with easily with this. Okay, so you want to be putting a little slot in there. There, maybe you can see that better. So you want to put a little slot in there to fit the tongue of your buckle through, and then put a hole in both ends and one in the middle, and that's going to be for a rivet to go through to hold it all together. Okay, and that's for your shorter ones, and then your longer ones, your tail pieces. Again, you're going to do the slot thing. So you're going to make 2 slots, and the slots are about kind of 3/4 inch long. Again, it depends on how your leather works. If it's quite thin and pliable, then you don't have to make the slots so big. But if it's firmer and thicker, then you will have to make them bigger. So, and I just shaped the ends a little bit to make them a little more interesting. So I put a slot there. Let me see if I can get this. Here we go. Put a slot there, and I put a slot there, and then I put the 2 holes in there for the tongue to go through for the buckle, right? I didn't do that very centered either. Oh well. Trying to care. All right, so presuming that you've gone ahead and done this, put all your holes in here. Let's thread your straps through your buckles. right? Because the tongue faces the wider side of the buckle. It'll be shaped to go down. All right. And then you'll be taking your strap and go around your ring. Like so. So that all three of your holes line up. You've got a little sandwich here. So that buckle is going to go down to meet the first hole, and then it's going to go around the ring and meet up with that hole again. And that's where you're going to put your rivet. Okay, so you go and do that with all of yours and put your rivet in, and then we will reconvene again. Oh, and I should probably mention that you're going to be doing that, and of course it's all four of them are going to be going around your ring like that. Okay, you could interpret that as a hog tie, or you could interpret that as a chest harness. It's up to you. So go and rivet these things onto your ring, and then we will take care of the tail pieces. Okay, so we've got the tail pieces for your little X that you've put together. You put the rivet through. So now you do your tail pieces. My tail pieces, I said 5 inches, I believe, 5 inches by 3/8 of an inch. Now when you shape your tail piece, let's see if you can see that properly. Maybe like that. Like that. Okay. I happen to have a little slot punch like that. So actually it's a smaller one, not this one. It's this one right here. I happen to have a little slot punch that's just the right size for this, but obviously you're not going to have a slot punch. Well, you may have a slot punch, but if you don't worry about it. You can just use a slit. You can just take your retractable and make a little slit in the leather. So you want to put that slit just down from the end for the first one, and then put the second slit about an inch apart from the first one, and then make your holes for your buckles, for your buckle tongue to go through. And then I pointed the end, of course, because it's supposed to be a tail piece going through the buckle, and then I shaped the end just to make it kind of more interesting than a straight line. And you do that with all four of them. And I presume that you've gone and done that now. And we're going to put them on your wreath. And of course, your X is going to be something like this. Of course, you might want it in a different orientation. Whatever orientation you want, now's the time to decide. And of course, your tail is going to be going in that direction. So figure out where you want your orientation and put your tails in that way. So that means I want one right here. That's about as close as I'm going to get, I think. So you take your tail piece, and with your tail piece facing inwards, like so, put the end through there, like that. And I'll be putting this through that second slot. And then tightening it up. Like so. And then I'll take that tail piece, and it's going to go through that first slot. Right there. Snug that up. And Bob's your uncle. Might be. He's mine. Okay, and then you may find that this is too long. If it's too long, it's easy enough to cut it short. And then you do that for your other 3 tails. Okay, and now that you have your tail pieces on, like so, now you put your cross on. Let's see if I can do that so you can see what's going on. It looks like I may do that. Have to put that in at the last hole. Still better too long than too short. Right, and I should probably cut those tails. Okay, and this is where we stand so far. You may want to tidy things up. I don't know. If you want that really tight, you could put another hole in there, no problem. Or whatever. You tidy up your one you've got. And I'm going to continue on here. The next step, sorry, like so. And the next step is going to be putting the garland leaves on. So let's do that. That should be one of our final steps. So to put the garland leaf on, you've decorated it or not decorated it. And then you're going to put another slot in. Right there. So it's going to be, the slot's going to start about, this is 4 inches long. This is about halfway, and it's going to go up towards the end. So just make your slot, and the length that you'll have to make your slot kind of depends on what you end up using for a garland, because the thicker stuff will need a larger slot. Thin stuff can crunch up better. So we're now going to put, I don't know, wherever. We'll start here, right here. So it's going to be very similar to what we did with the tails, but we're not going to do the 2 slots to make it go around the wire and lock it in place. This is, this is not bondage. So we're just going to put it through once, and that's going to be good enough. Of course, if you want to do 2 of them and lock it in place, go for it. But if you do, recognize that your leaves will only be going in one direction, right? Both ends go in the same direction, and we actually want it going in opposite directions. So we're only going to do 1 with this. I'll put this over here since it's a big wide one. And I have a big wide spot there. Oh, what am I doing? It has to be this way. So you're going to take this and you're going to go around your wire. Like so, and through the slot. Like that. And you can scrunch it up or widen it up or whatever you need to do. Like that. Okay? And then you're going to continue on doing that around here, and then you may want to go back and double up. So we may want to put in another one here in this space. Sorry, correct way. This is where, again, the useful tool comes in handy. Through the slot. Tighten it up. Okay. So you can continue on and you can fill that in as much as you want or as little as you want. You may want to stop at this point. Who knows? But I'm going to continue on around here, and then we will meet up when we get to the end. And it looks like I have a few left over, but not that many actually. I think I made 25 altogether, just in case, so I didn't have to stop halfway through and start cutting more. But it looks like the 2 dozen estimate isn't too far off. So if you want to make a couple dozen, that should work out just fine for you. Okay. Don't be shy about using your useful tool for this, because that's what it's for. All right. And here's what we've got so far. And now I have to decide, and you'll have to decide, whether you want to add just a little bit more. I don't know if you can see this completely. Maybe not. Whether you want to add just a little bit more flash going on with this thing, because I've got this silver lame and this red lame. Yeah, I'm not sure I want to add more for this, but I could. If I do, oh geez, I don't know if I'd want to use the silver or the red. But if I could interweave it here. So just as an example. I've got that much length. I could weave it in and out of these garland leaf slots. Like so. So you're getting the idea of interweaving through the garland leaves all the way around. You can decide for yourself, is this too flashy? Is it just add the right touch to finish it off, or what? Yes? No? You can see that there, right? You can figure it out. And then that's it. Oh, other than you might want to put a loop going across here from side to side. You can put a little leather loop going across like that to give you a little place to hang it, or you could just hang it right on the wire at the top. Whichever. And that is our wreath. Ta-da! I would love to see posts of your wreaths, because everybody's going to have a unique one. That's what I like about this. Okay? All right.